Welcome back to another episode of Redoctoring with your host, Dr. Diane. This is the podcast that allows you to be a different kind of doctor. Today, I have a very special guest with us. She is our first registrar on the podcast, currently specializing in anesthesiology, the one, the only Dr. Toni. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I also have to preface this episode with saying that Dr. Toni and I went to varsity together, and that's the origin story of this relationship. But as you can see, she has chosen the route of specializing in anesthesia. What year are you currently doing?
And this is my third year, 3 out of 4.
Wow. No, the end is in sight. The end really is in sight. How does it feel to be doing postgrad at the same university you did undergrad at? Like, do you ever like walk the halls and be like, yo, younger Toni was here and she was stressing about this? Like, has that ever crossed your mind?
It never is strong, but it seldom crosses my mind when I'm alone. But it often crosses my mind when I, like, for example, go to the cafeteria with somebody that I was an undergrad with. So if I'm going to the cafe with my friend, then we'll be like, do you remember we used to play cards here? Do you remember this is, so we'll go through all of those memories. But other than that, it just feels like continuum. This feels like something that's supposed to be happening. I don't know how to explain it.
No, interesting. I always used to think when I was a student that people chose to specialize at the same place they did undergrad at because it's somewhat easier, in a sense.
I hear what you're saying, and I partly agree. I think it might be the reasoning behind a lot of people's, because I must say that knowing the actual place has made adjusting to the new role easier for me. It takes the edge off of the new position or assuming the new position. But I actually didn't want. It wasn't my first thought. It wasn't my first choice, actually. But yeah, but I must say it's made it a lot easier.
No, I hear that.
Less imposter syndrome.
Interesting. I think we'll tackle the specializing route later on. Let's start the conversation with who is Dr. Toni, or who is Toni without the doctor part?
Okay, I am a little girl, turning 31 in like 5 days, from a small town in the Free State, Heilbronn. If you go to Joburg, it's on one of the boards. It's one of those in and out kind of towns. What do people say? What else do I say? Just a girl.
Hobby. You can mention your hobbies.
Okay. I sing, but I sing in my house. And then I'm a super fit hen. Okay. Stuff. Regular gym buddy. Yeah, but otherwise I'm just here. Easy does it.
Just vibing.
Shame, yeah. Yeah, someone's wife and stuff. Not a mother.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Just easy 31-year-old things.
Going with it.
There we go. So now your journey into medicine. Take us into how did you pick medicine? How did the decision come about?
I mean, I'm probably going to sound like 90% of your guests and say medicine chose me, I suppose. I don't know if they say stuff like that.
It's what do you call it? It's a philanthropic. I don't think I'm pronouncing the word right, but it's a.
Don't worry about it.
Philanthropic-y.
It's giving. I've read this before.
Yeah.
Copy paste. No, but for me it was actually quite nice. So when I was small, I think I was about 5 or 6 in creche, and I grew up and am still a tomboy. So then I I was playing a little bit rough with one of my friends, and I was, what is the English of swings? Swings, right? All of
Yes.
that jungle. What is the jungle
Yeah, the
things?
jungle gym.
Jungle gym. So I fell off of a jungle gym and split my tongue, and
Mm.
then uh, I had to get it. I had to go to theater, stitched up and stuff like that, all of that. And so when I got out, not immediately after, but when I realized what had happened, I was like, maybe I want to become the thing that fixes tongues. And then
Oh, wow.
I just never changed my mind. So I asked my mom what it is. My mom was like, "That's a doctor," and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good. Sign me up,
Oh,
easy, quick."
hmm. Something that I hear from people a lot is that once you, as a child, make up your mind as to what it is that you want to be, sometimes it can be quite prophetic because God
Right?
writes it in his book and he's like, come 10 years' time, that's going to be you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I must say, I don't know, but there's something about certainty that in ways bends reality. I think it's Matt Cook that said it. Certainty bends reality, something like that. But yeah, I've
Mm.
seen that in my life, at least. And had we recorded yesterday, you would have seen I've got. I don't have a lot of things on my wall, but one of the things that I decided, I think I was like a teenager or something, is that once you make your mind about something, once you make your mind up about something, stick to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like discipline on discipline on steroids. Like you have to achieve what you
Mm,
said you achieve.
funny enough, it's something I lack, but yeah.
No. That's why it's on your wall, so that every day you get a bit better at it.
Yeah, but it's at my parents' house. It's not like in my house. It's at my parents when I was small. It's from when I was
Mm.
small. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's still kind of on your wall. It's kind of
Mm,
still.
my
Mm.
heart wall.
Okay, so medicine was basically the beginning and the last. It was the first and the last option.
Yeah, actually, because when we applied, I remember applying. When did we do that? Like at grade 11, right?
Uh, well, didn't we apply in matric?
Did we not apply end of grade 11? And then
Remember?
whenever it was, ne?
I think we use our grade 11 marks, but we apply in
Okay,
matric.
so it was early matric. First
Yes,
term, first something matric, sharp.
something
So
like that.
so when I was applying, it's funny because I knew that I wanted to go to UFS and I knew I wanted to study medicine. And then when I looked at the form, it was asking me for second option or something like that?
Yes.
And then I didn't have one. And then I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be putting on here. And then I put something weird like dietetics. And then I got rejected for dietetics. And
Mm,
then, yeah, but I don't know how many options we had to put up, but I didn't have it. Yeah, but this is to just say that that one thing on my mind
the certainty was certain.
was certainly.
Okay, so then you make it into UFS, your number one
Mm.
choice with your number one option. How was undergrad? How was the undergrad experience for you?
Okay, so the first 6 months was, but not bad, but it was a massive transition because I, public service announcement, have got very bad ADHD. So if you see me doing things like this is my life. Okay, I'm not uncomfortable, and yeah, you don't have to edit this out, just because I'm not gonna stop doing it. But in any
Mm.
case, um, so first 6 months was tough because, and when I was small, I basically did all my basic education in Afrikaans, and then when I switched, when I got to varsity, I decided, okay, let's do things in English.
Wow, that's dramatic.
And I kid you not, for the majority of it, like that first anatomy lecture, I was just like, I don't know what you're saying, girl. I don't know what you're saying. And because back then, even my thinking was still in Afrikaans. Like my day-to-day thinking was in Afrikaans still. So and then when I'd get home or to rest, I'd have is it a bilingual? It's called a bilingual dictionary? Or is it a
Yes, yes. I think, yeah.
then I enjoyed medical school.
Okay.
Beyond 6 months, it was really, really, really nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
I had
so
the time of my life.
interesting. I think they I think there was a time when you could pick at UFS whether to be Afrikaans, like do everything in Afrikaans or do everything
Mm,
in English. Is there
yeah, that was
anything that is there like what was the why for English? Did you just want to spice up the plot?
uh, no girl. So my thinking was, how much can I do beyond this in Afrikaans? So I was like, every textbook I'm going to read is going to be in English.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be that guy that tries and finds Afrikaans notes, makes Afrikaans notes, writes Afrikaans papers when the textbook is in English.
Wow.
So then I was just like, maybe let's make the switch now.
Mm,
And then there's nothing deep about it actually. I was just trying to make the eventual work less for me. And
mm,
I had a feeling that I was also potentially going to be the only person of color in that class. And I don't know how I felt about that. And
mm,
then I had, because I'd done a lot of being a minority in my school. So then I was just like, maybe it's time for that to not be the case.
mm. No, that's interesting. Your foresight, shout out to your previous foresight because I've never thought about it like that. Like the people who chose to study in Afrikaans, they were reading English textbooks. And it's not like grade one English. Like the medical textbooks were big words, Latin, everything is in there. And now you're having to translate like that. Oh, that's
Yeah, I know.
crazy.
Yeah.
I also
No.
wonder how was like hospital ward rounds. Did you guys have like English hospital, like the little groups that they split you in when you went into
Mm,
clinical?
mm.
It's English groups and Afrikaans groups.
What do you mean? Oh, when were you? Were you at all English?
Yes, yes, yes. For me, it was all
Oh,
English.
oh. I don't. I think it depended on who the doctor was, because I think once you started
Mm.
rounds and your doctor was Afrikaans and the group was Afrikaans, rounds would take place in Afrikaans. I'd heard
Oh,
that,
okay.
but for us, it was still English for the most part. There would
Mm-hmm.
be, there would be that awkward 5 to 10 minutes where we might have in the group, we've got an Afrikaans speaking somebody, and then they decide this is good. I'm going to take this opportunity and ask the doctor a question in Afrikaans, knowing very well that the rest of the, not trying to make anything of this, but they'd ask the doctor a question or something in Afrikaans, and then the guy or girl would respond likewise. And then,
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
I
No, I hear.
understood, but I never made it like I can hear you, because I was kind of incognito when I was when I was an undergrad. I was an incognito Africa. So then I could just be like, oh, no, it's fine. I can hear a word or two here and there. It's okay. It's okay.
Mm,
Oh, don't worry about
mm,
it. But yeah,
okay. Like you don't want to rock the boat too much.
exactly.
Mm. I see. I see. Something interesting that, what is it? I think it's the slogan of UFS is that only a Kofsi knows the feeling. And when it comes to medical school, here we are the only varsity that does our training in 5 years, whereas everybody else does it in 6 years. Um, did you ever feel pressured in those 5 years? Like, does it feel like, yo, the workload is too much? Now I understand why a Kofsi only knows the feeling is because nobody else is feeling this feeling.
Well, I actually hated that slogan, um, because I didn't get it, and
Mhm.
mm, I didn't get it. I'm laughing at myself because I'm just like, a lot of my opinions are controversial about a lot of things. So I'm thinking that this might be one of those controversial opinions that I have. But I personally didn't agree with it on the basis of you make a choice, you want to do something, and you must assume the responsibility that comes with the choice that you're making. And if you don't like how it's presented, then switch.
Oh, like a sergeant. You said it like a sergeant.
I don't know how many how many, or health science friends you had. I made it a point to not have too many. Once I realized or took note of the toxicity,
Mm,
and how swallowed in medicine we can become. So I was just like, no, this is not the life that I want. And so
mm,
I picked my people in med school, and majority of my friends were non-medical. And I think that's part of the reason I'd like to say that I had a lot of fun in med school. So no, I'm grateful for it. It's crazy to say, but again, I've got a very high pain threshold. I don't mind pressure, and I don't mind working. I don't mind putting in work for something that I truly believe in. And I often say, I often say this to medical students, is that you don't have to do something, is that you get to do it. You know?
ooh.
Yeah. So we have so much work to do. No, you get to do all of that work because it's going to enable you to become the person that you want to be. You see? So ignorance is bliss, and it has been a lot of bliss for me. you know, I don't know.
No, I like what you said about making it a point for yourself to have friendships and relationships outside of medicine. You even see it now. I remember in internship and ComServe when you and, the group of people that you're with in hospital, you go out to have dinner or whatever, how the conversation is just about our patients and everything.
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
if you stay too long around doctors or you surround yourself too much with the same occupation, I wonder if, like, are we stunting ourselves socially when we do that? Like, our view on the world as well. Is that becoming more tunnel viewed as well?
100%. Oof, very controversial, me. But I'd take
No.
it as far as saying that we're not just stunting our growth. I think we're regressing as individuals, because if I'm not talking about my patients, I'm complaining about how tired I am, and I'm complaining about how little sleep I'm getting, and I'm complaining about the things that I still have to do. And so already the workplace consists of people who are constantly needing from you. And so if you're not allowing your space to be a refill center, then I think then you just keep pouring and pouring and pouring until you're not even realizing, until we get to a point where we don't realize that we're actually running on empty. And I think that's
Mm,
why I think capitals. I think putting everything together, workspace, and so completely going off on a tangent, but workspace together and the lack of refill that comes from our personal lives is
mm,
what could potentially be leading to the ill mental health.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. It's
No,
just
I
constantly
definitely.
giving. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Like you are constantly pouring, but there's nothing pouring into you.
But I would be c- careful to state it that way, at least for me, that to say that nothing is pouring into you, but because you and I must be the one creating the environment that to pour into us. Because
Mm.
if I'm waiting to be poured into, I might be waiting for a very long time.
There's a certain degree of proactiveness that you should have as well, and awareness, and awareness.
100%.
With the podcast, I have a few medical students that listen. How would you advise a medical student to go about creating a circle that has different people in? Because I know a lot of reses have like a medical res, or you're going to classes with the medical people in a res. Like, what is even your take on medical reses? Like, do you think it should be a thing, or should we all just kumbaya all together
When
with
I came
the
back,
people.
yeah. So when I came back, and I heard that there is a thing called a medical res, I
Mm,
was so sad.
mm,
I was very sad for the medical students because of the reasons that we've stated before, that the whole reason why you go to varsity is to experience varsity. You're not getting to experience a lot of varsity. You're getting to experience pre-med, essentially. Like, you're at home in your personal space, but then your roommate, because there's a lot of competition in our field, and your roommate is somebody that you're low-key competing against or competing with. What's the
mm.
English? Not sure.
Yeah,
So I personally, I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, I think I think it's actually something that could be perpetuating or worsening or increasing the fragility amongst medical individuals. Or, yeah, I think so, because you've got nobody to turn to. Technically, you turn to them. It's nice to know that they understand you, but very soon after you venting to that person, it's possible that what you'll meet is, yeah, but we're all going through that.
So
Instead
it can't
of,
be that. Mm,
yeah, and instead of, for example, I'll make an example with me. One of my best friends in varsity is and still is. We've been friends since 2014. She's somebody that's like in investments. So then I'd get to our room and be like, "Come on, tell you what happened today." And I tell them. She's like, "Oh, cool," you know, because
yeah.
nice. Then I asked her to tell me about her money stuff. Still don't know money stuff. And then she'd be like, "Oh," and then I'll be like, "Oh, cool," you know. So there's very little versatility, and like you said, you're stunting our growth. So you're stunting it. I think it stunts the overall perspective.
Mm. And I think also you mentioned how it isolates. I think it alienates us because now, I know you mentioned you don't have social media, so let me just fill you in on the whole what's
Okay.
happening. But with
Ugh.
the whole doctors not having jobs, there are people who feel like, no, man, but the doctors have set themselves apart from everybody else with regards to their lifestyle. They buy the Mercs, the Benzes, so do they really need the job as much as they say they do? Controversial and to each their own, but I can see how these thoughts can actually begin from undergrad because we huddle among each other, because we don't share our perspectives or our experiences with the general public or other people in other degrees. It's hard to humanize us from the get-go, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the isolation that we experience in pre-med just carries on. And then one day we are all in society asking, no, guys, let's join hands to fight this that's affecting us all. But then they'll be like, yo, but you were never one of us, or you've always just set yourself apart.
Uh, uh, it's a bit of a catch-22. I don't think it's a good idea. All of the points you
Mm.
just stated, 100%. And I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea.
I remember in varsity, my res, I think they put all the medical students with, no, 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 it wasn't. But I ended up with the medical students as my roommates, and we were very close. We became close and
Yeah.
we did a lot of things together. But because our res had a lot of other people, there was still time to, meet the admin kids, meet the accounting kids,
Yeah.
meet the teachers and things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Kid.
it helps. It definitely helps. I think if you start from res to look outside and look into other perspectives, it helps you find other people.
Exactly. And people to ground you as well, and to make
Mm,
you realize that maybe I don't need to be sitting bum to share the whole night.
mm, mm. I think that's something that people forget. Like yes, as much as we chose to come to university for our degrees, there's still so much more that we can get out of this experience. Like we can leave as multifaceted people and having done growth in other areas of our lives, not just our occupation.
One, I agree. I will always agree. That's it. I agree. I don't know. Because my aunt has this thing where she says the more you do, the more you have to do, the more you actually get done. But it's not more of the
Mm,
same thing, more of different things.
yes.
Because I mean, if I tell myself I've got 6 hours today to study, how much studying am I actually going to do? Versus I've got 2 hours to make sure I get the session done. Because after that, I'm going to the gym. And after that, I'm going to whatever people do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Going outside.
I'm seeing the sun, you know?
Yes.
But I think they will realize, at some stage, or somebody will voice it out and say, actually, maybe this is not working out. It has its perks because it centralizes resources for the actual medical student. But I think for the overall bigger picture, I don't. But I mean,
Mm.
this is the opinion of one.
No, no, no. It's okay. I hear that. Moving along now in your journey, internship and ComServe. Where did you do your internship and ComServe at?
And okay, do you want the full story or do you want where I ended up? I did my internship in Bosch.
We have time.
Okay, so I had originally been placed in Bloemfontein,
Okay.
and then I decided actually I needed to get out of Bloemfontein, so then I switched, and then I swapped out with somebody, and then I ended up going to Bosch. Best decision of my life. I was in
Okay.
Bosch for 2 years, obviously, and then I would recommend people go to Bosch. If you can go to Bosch, for your internship. If you don't know where to go and you want to keep the Gauteng province close to you, Bosch is the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then community service. I was a bursary kid. ComServe, I went to Lady Brand. We can skip that.
Yeah. You don't recommend?
I mean, it
No.
depends. I mean, it depends on what you want as an individual. If
Mm,
you want to be, if you want to utilize your community service to prep for your primaries or whatever, definitely, by all means. But if you want to remain sane, maybe don't
mm,
go there. But you can make it work. You can make any place work. But I personally did not. If from the moment I got there and from the moment I started working there, I almost every single day, or every single work day, I was like, I need to leave this place.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't a good time. It wasn't a good time. Were you
Mm,
able to do anesthesia or
I know.
okay. Was it a clinic? Was it like a district hospital?
You would think it was a clinic, but it was a hospital. A very pretty hospital. Um, it's a very pretty hospital. I think it
Mm,
was built 2014. But typical district level hospital. Anything you can
mm,
think that screams and shouts district,
mm,
and it's there. I mean, it had a theater, but it wasn't running at the time due to a lot of things that I know nothing about. But there was no anesthesia that I could do. Um, so yeah, for me personally, it wasn't a source of a lot of growth. It wasn't a place where I grew much actually. Um,
mm.
yeah, but it had to happen. I'm grateful for it still in the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move into anesthesia. When
Mm.
did you know, or like how did you know, and when did you know that anesthesia is what you want to rock with for life?
So when we started clinicals, I okay, maybe a little bit before that. Before that, I thoroughly enjoyed physiology and pharmacology, thoroughly. and I did well in those subjects. And then when we got to clinical and anesthesia combined both, I was like, ooh. But then half of my brain was like, okay, we're going to do anesthesia if we end up with someone. Like if I end up in a relationship or whatever, with like a life partner, I'll do anesthesia. So that was my early thinking. And then I was like, if I'm alone, I'll do surgery. And then the farther along I went in med school, the more coffee I drank, the more I realized I've got a tremor. And then I was like, maybe not surgery. And then I actually, an internship, thoroughly enjoyed anesthesia. And then my first intubation was an esophageal intubation. And then they called me, one of my seniors at the time, who's now a specialist, he called me esophagus for like a good 2 weeks.
Oh,
And then, yeah, not bullying, nice guy, nice guy, thoroughly. Bosch was a nice place. It was a nice time. So he called me, and I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed the weird humor amongst the neat. I enjoyed it. So I knew I liked it from undergrad. I knew it. I knew that I got it. I understood it. It made sense to me. I was one of the few people that really enjoyed anesthesia in undergrad, and so it was always going to feature some way. But when I was an intern and I did my rotation, I was like, I was sold, and then I just never changed my mind after that.
I feel like your story has the recurrent theme of certainty. Like you just
Yeah,
know, and then that is what happened. So
yeah,
confident. Very confident of
yeah,
you.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and how it actually. So this is where I'm partly grateful for Lady Brand actually because I got retained after ComServe, and then we attended as Safe Ops in Bloom.
Okay.
Because when I was in Lady Brand, I didn't know how I was going to get to do anesthesia. And then when I got retained, I was like, I really don't know how I'm going to get to do anesthesia. So then we went to Safe Ops. Yeah, we went to Safe Ops. And then when we got to Safe Ops, what was he? Yeah, he was my fiance already at the time. So him and I went to in Bloemfontein. And so that's when we found out about this lady who had been doing InReach. I didn't know InReach was a thing. So then
What's
they were saying,
rich?
so
Is
it's
it like
like
the
an
opposite of
InReach program. Yeah, the opposite of outreach. So you do InReach to gain time and experience, either to go do a diploma or to just be resourceful and useful to whichever hospital or institution you're working at.
Okay.
So then when we found out that that thing exists, I was like, sign me right up. And then I spoke to my clinical manager in Lady Brand. I was like, so I think this would be a good idea. Now, if I do this, I get to do a diploma, and then I get to be the anesthesia person at the hospital, and then maybe we can open theater up again. And then he agreed, and then I started basically the next month, and the anesthesia HOD at the time, within 6 months of me doing the InReach, he was like, so we've got posts opening up. Maybe think about submitting.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I was just like, sign me right up. And then I did that.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
And then you
It was
said
nice.
goodbye to great friend.
With all my chest. I was like, thanks. No, with everything I had in me, I was like, I'm going.
Wow. And then
Yeah.
your MO time, how long did you spend as an MO
So
in anesthesia?
okay. So I started married September. I started October 2022. And then the interviews were held for registrarship the next year. I want to say August. And then September, we heard that we'd been appointed or we gotten the jobs. And then, yeah, basically like just under a year, but if you include the in-reach time, a little bit over a year. Yeah.
Actually, pretty quick.
Certainty bends reality. Yeah.
No, 'cause I hear about people being MOs for like 5 years before they even get the
Mm.
opportunity to apply for the registrar for a registrarship or something. Do you feel like what do you think was your secret edge? Like, what do you think was your spice? Was it your personality? Was it it's your skills and your precision? Or like what was your secret?
I think I think I think it has a lot to do multifactorial, but I think it had a lot to do with my passion, because when you're passionate about something, you can put everything into it, and nobody can deny passion.
Ooh, that's actually powerful. And everybody loves interacting with passionate people.
Yeah. It's like a to the one that's not passionate, it's like a fake motivation. I think that's what happened to me, because when the very same HOD, he's now gone, but the very same HOD that said to me submit my CV for the MO post, he still is to this day madly in love with anesthesia. And having people like him, I could feed off of that energy, because I was like,
Mm,
like you, I like this, we were like-minded, and I was obviously like
yeah.
the miniature version of that. But it's addictive. It's yeah. So I think that's it. With a little bit of hard work and dedication, obviously, and a little bit of doing the job right, you know.
Mm.
Um, yeah. But I think for the most part, passion.
I remember you mentioned also earlier that Bloom wasn't your first, like UFS wasn't your first option to specialize. Like it wasn't your first institution that you wanted to be at. How and why did you okay, firstly, how do you apply for a registrarship? Like like the do all the universities and institutions, did they at the time have all the applications out around the same time? Did they how did it go? Or
I
how
don't
does it
know.
go?
I don't know. I don't know a lot about real life, um, because a lot of my life things must be very careful.
I mean, if you that girl, you that girl.
No, no. I was actually telling my parents this past weekend, me and my sister, that because they're both teachers. Sorry, again going off. They were telling us that they'd like for us to just that motivational speaking stuff where you go to kids and motivate them. And I was like, there's
Yeah.
nothing relatable. There's nothing relatable about my life. So I'm not somebody that's gonna say I had a tough childhood. I had to fight. I had to work hard. I don't have that.
Mm,
It- It's been pretty. I must be careful to say undeservedly blessed, but it's been a little bit nice, too nice, you know. So
mm.
I yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I I don't know how real life works, but I think I don't know whether, because I mean the difference is to answer your question. I don't think the different institutions send out vacancies at the same time. I think it's PRN as the need arises. So, and I think for us, for example, there were a lot of regis that had been outgoing or that had left in the preceding 18 months. So then the department was a little bit short-staffed. So then they had a massive intake with us. So I think that's how it happened. It's like any other job, I suppose. Fit in a Z83, put your CV together, um, and wait. I don't know how it's done
Mm.
now, but yeah. Did I answer?
Wow.
And then
Oh,
you asked, oh, sorry. And then you asked me about how and why Bloom, or how and
yeah.
why not Bloom. So
Yes, yes.
so I've always been, I mean, you can tell I can't sit still. So I've always liked the concept of impermanence, or yeah. So I never wanted to be in one place. I never thought I'd be in one place. So in my mind, I was gonna study here, do my internship there, do my ComServe there, specialize there, practice there. And then even my practice was never, the plan was to never have it be grounded. I was gonna socialize to know enough of people in very many different places so that I could fly out to do lists for a week or 2 weeks. So that was my plan.
Mm.
And then so then I'd originally wanted to go to Pietermaritzburg because I'd heard that it's a very good um institution academically, that circuit is very good. And then my friend had quickly become my person, and my person had quickly become my husband. So then, because the plan was settle down in Bloemfontein, I was like, it only makes sense to not uproot us too far out, and then just do it here. And it's not a bad place. It's a nice place. It's a good place. So
Mm. Oh wow. Is your husband also a doctor?
yeah, he is.
You could have like a dual practice that flies out together. That would be so romantic.
Yeah, yeah, it could work. It could work.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
Could
he
work.
also specialized?
Yeah, I know. He is a medical officer currently. Does not like the toxicity that comes with the academic institutions.
Uh,
Yeah, he's very big on mental health.
that's a good segue into our next topic of conversation, which is anesthesia is one of the most highly stressed environments. Like, I think if you go to Google and you Google like the top specialties with like the highest suicide risk, anesthesia is definitely in the top 5. So how do you take care of your mental health and stay grounded in anesthesia?
Uh, Ignorance is bliss for me,
Mm,
and it's a sad statistic. Uh, it's a very heartbreaking statistic. I think, for me, it's been come to work, do my job, go home, repeat. Because I think because we come to work before the sun comes up and we often go home after sunset, it's
mm,
easy to fall into the trap of forming a toxic family environment with your
with your
anesthesia and co. Yeah. Uh,
ooh, that.
yeah. So I think it's very it's easy. It's easy because we're type A personality. Well, I don't know what a type A personality. If I really am one, but we're type A personalities, and the job forces us to strive for perfection, because with perfection, you sort of mitigate within your control as much as possible the things that can go wrong. So we checklist and we judge ourselves and we critique ourselves and our colleagues a lot. So now within that family, what's it called? Dynamic. It's very easy to have unrealistically high expectations of your colleagues, and when they don't match or meet said bar, it's quick and easy to gossip, and it's quick and easy to bring them
Mm,
down within the team, because we're family. And I mean, I can tell my sister that, yo, dog, that was crap, and then my sister is still my sister, but
mm, mm.
we forget that we're actually not family and that people
Yeah.
take these things home. And
Mm.
if I'm my worst critic and now my colleague is mirroring that about me, and I'm inhaling sevoflurane the whole bloody day,
Oh,
I can't, and I'm not sleeping enough, and I'm not getting vitamin D, and I need to study, and I'm constantly stressed. That fright or flight the whole time impairs my decision making. And then if I have nobody that understands what exactly it is I'm going through, It is a vicious vortex. That's what I think. So to answer your question, how have I been able to do it? Coming home, going to work, doing my job, and going home has kept my colleagues as colleagues, and it has allowed me to know that the people that were my people going into this remain my people. So those are the people that I vent to. A lot of ignorance is bliss for me, to be honest. If I don't if I don't take note of a lot of things, like for example, I'm the last person always to find out anything about what's going on in my department. I am always the last person, and I'm of the few people that talk the most. So, but I don't talk about other people. I don't talk about what's going on.
You touched on a lot of good points.
Yeah.
You don't personalize the job.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Is it with boundaries, or is it just who you are as a person, or like because you've solidified your identity and everything else? Because that
Mm.
is the tough point for a lot of doctors. I think the whole point of the whole thing that happens about taking your work home is, I think that happens majority because you personalize it.
Mm.
If you had a patient, even though the patient came to you and it was already 10 past 4, because the patient died on your table, you feel like it reflects you as a person, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Very good question. And I think you part answered it, that I do. I love anesthesia. I
Mm,
love being a doctor, but it's not who I am. And it's it's how I serve, and it has given me. It's been one of the things that has grown and matured me a lot. But it's 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 not. I'm actually I'm low-key very dumb, so it's not to be to not to speak down. I'm like a silly girl. That's what I said.
yeah, you're just a girl.
So
You're just
I'm just a girl. So it's I think that makes it easier. And a lot of people, because for example, if I'm not completing a work document, my title is not doctor. Any document. So my title is Mrs. And if I wasn't married, it would have been Miss. You see. Um.
ooh.
So, and that's been very big for me. That outside of work, don't call me doctor, because even though I am one and I'm proud of being one,
Mm,
I'm still a person. And so having that separation has been big for me. Yeah. It's yeah. I think that's the best way I can answer your question. That I don't find my identity in my job.
mm. No, I like the way you worded it, how it's you look at your job as, this is how I'm serving society. Like it's a service that you are rendering out, and then you get paid to fund your living and to fund everything else that makes Tony Tony.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
Mm.
No. Yeah. And yeah, it's so important. I think if I can say anything to you, mentioned the medical students that watch your podcast. If I can say anything, don't make it your everything, please.
Mm.
It's where you go spend the majority of your time, but it's not your everything.
When I reflect back on my own medical journey, I think the thing that really crushed me the most was I didn't have that properly in place from the get-go. From the this is like this, what happens in the hospital does not mean that that is me, you know? Like, it's you're taking work home and then also being like, yo, if the patient dies, maybe it's a reflection of my inadequacy, or like because I wasn't
Oh,
able to do something here. Even if the patient was going to die, even in the specialist's hands, but because you were the one who maybe had to secure the airway, you're like, it was because it was me.
no. You know what we do? I think we say my patient.
Mm,
And they're not yours. They're the patient. We love them, we care for them, but they're not yours. You're
mm.
just you're just a facilitator of their improvement. And true to the definition of what doctor is, you're just a teacher of what it is they're going through and how they can get better. And if they don't get better, it is your duty to go back to the drawing board and see, could I have done something better? But you identifying where you could have gone better is a blessing, because now you don't get to do that. You don't do that again. But full stop. That's where it ends. It's not something that you're supposed to be carrying with you.
Yes, and ruminating over, and then you don't end up doing a good job for the next patient that you see.
Exactly. And it's true. It's true to everything. It's true to everything in life. I think in our lives that you don't sleep well, the next day you don't make good decisions. You don't make good decisions, you go home, and because your threshold is lowered, you go beat yourself up about those things. Then you don't sleep well again. And then then you keep, it's mistake on mistake on mistake.
Sure.
Avoidable. So systems, put your systems in check. I learned that late. I didn't do a terrible job when I was an undergrad, but I learned late about the systems thing. Yeah.
Something that we always see in med school is whenever there's a disease or anything, it's always about your approach to it.
Mm.
So I think the same also with your job. You need to have an approach to it. Otherwise, it's late for you. It's
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
you mentioned earlier that you have ADHD, and now you're doing anesthesia. And I feel like anesthesia is the one place where like you have to be like dun dun dun, like you have to be here with the
Yeah.
monitors and everything. Um, how do you, because you're in a small square space, you're literally the
Mm.
monitor, the patient's head, and you're like
Mm.
in that space. How do you contain yourself and regulate in that small space with the ADHD?
So firstly, it's not diagnosed by any professional.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's not. But you can tell. I don't think it's a secret. Um, but how do I do it? I I don't know, but I'll try my best to answer your question. The confined space is not so confined. Um, I'll say that I assume the role. I suppose to a degree, I act it out. So I assume the role of somebody that's got order.
oh.
And
So
then,
like you fake it till you make it.
no, because I firmly believe that we can be everything. The same way you can have a negative and a positive thought at the same time. I think you can be disorganized and organized at the same time. And then it's where you shift your focus to, that then that thing gets amplified. I can have an organized and a disorganized thought at the same time. And then I just focus on the organized thought. And it's just an organized thought, one organized thought after another. And it also helps the fact that to some degree, the skeleton of anesthesia is the same. So there's not, yes, your patient is the same, but how you execute the anesthetic to some degree stays the same. So it helps to focus, because if it becomes chaotic, I don't know what I would do. I actually have a good example. Disorganized mornings are not pleasant for me. So I think that's what it boils down to, that when it's disorganized by probably either factors where I'm to blame or externally, it takes me a very long time to get out of being hooked or attached to that disorganization or chaos, to bring myself back to order. So I don't know, in some ways it's easy, but like I was saying, it's not a fake it till you make it, as you said, but it's more like a focus, directing focus, which is, meditation has helped a lot, I think, for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Anesthesia is the one place where I think you expect you want everything to be as boring as possible. Well, that's my interpretation, because boring is best. So
Boring
now
is good.
when things are not boring and everything is happening, the patients become, they unstabilize themselves very, very quickly sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you emotionally regulate yourself through that? Because everything is beeping, people are screaming. Like, how do you assume the role and the position and are like, okay, let's. Like,
If I can, is it a tornado?
yes.
Hurricane?
It's
Is a tornado
hurricane.
and a hurricane the same thing?
I think so. I think it's just different language for different regions.
Good. So at the center of a hurricane, it's still.
Mm.
Think that's where I often find myself when it becomes chaotic. So when I actively become the center of the sounds very egotistical, but I become the center of the hurricane because I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like in the movies
Hmm.
when there's an explosion and then there's that I think that's what
Yeah.
happens to me. Yeah,
Wow.
because I I I I don't ever recall things becoming chaotic and me be- outwardly or even inwardly feeling chaotic.
Mm.
I don't know what it is about. I don't know what it is about emergencies or things falling apart that I like so much. It also doesn't sound good, but I there's something about that. I think it might have something to do with the fact that every second counts. So it's almost like I it slows down. Everything slows down for me, and then I can think clearly because I think I also know that the more chaotic I become in my thinking, the more chaotic the execution, which doesn't help anything in this situation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It sounds
Mm.
you sound very centered.
Only when it's going bad. Only
Ah.
when it's going bad. Yeah.
Anesthesia is interesting. I think when was it? I think I liked bits and pieces of it throughout my medical journey. And I remember feeling like, you know what? Anesthesia is the place to go because when it's boring, it's very boring. But that 1%, when it's no longer boring, that's when it's on the other end. So anesthesia is always dramatic. You never have like
Mm.
a media. It's
Yeah.
always one or the other.
Oh, that's how the personalities in the departments also go. Either
Wow.
very boring or very dramatic. That's what I think.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting for speciality, actually.
Very nice though. I like it.
Hmm. So now a conversation in medicine is how to go about finding what to specialize in. You either have people who know that they want to specialize, but they don't know what to specialize in. How would you? I know from your experience, you had certainty backing you up and bending your reality. But for others who feel a bit lost in the wind, how do you think a person should go about finding what to specialize in?
The first thing I think uh it's very I admire my husband's chutzpah and I admire his character in knowing that he doesn't want to specialize.
Mm.
So and I respect him so much for that. So I think and there's something about it that it's also very attractive that not allowing his ego to be bruised by the fact that his wife is specializing. Love that. I think it's one of the most
Mm.
important things that anybody can have. That d- d- just because it's the road more trodden, you don't have to take it. And there's a reason why you're struggling to decide. Maybe look into the reason. Yeah, that's the first thing that I would say. And then if you're like me, who d- who would who at a stage thought that okay maybe surgery as well, then look at what you're good at and then look at whether you can nourish passion from that, or nourish a love for what you're good at, because there's no point in you doing something that you've wanted to do and you're not good at it, or there's no point in you doing something that you're good at but you hate it. So if passion is important for you, which I think isn't, I think it's important for anything, because passion drives a lot. Passion drives life, I think. So I think if you can find what you really, really like and you do that, then it won't feel like you're going to work. I haven't felt like I'm going to work, and I'm not even exaggerating, since 2022. It doesn't feel like a job for me. Yeah. So I think that's a big thing. And also be okay with changing your mind. That if you get into it and you realize that actually maybe not, then maybe not. You know, I think we want to make the right first decision. We want the first decision that we make to be the correct one, and we put ourselves.
Uncertainty.
Yes, but with certainty comes a lot of things, I think. It's not the road, it's not the journey for everybody. So I think that remove the pressure of trying to be right, and then remove the pressure of time, because so what if it takes you 5 years, to make up your mind?
Mm.
You're technically the only one that cares. And if you stop caring, then nobody cares. Then you can do it whenever you want. Yeah, I think if I can, you don't have to specialize. That's the first thing. And then passion, I think, man. Find what you're passionate about. Oh, and there's a lot of things that you can specialize in that are not exhausting and draining. And you can actually enjoy your life. So think about that. Think about what you want. Think about the bigger picture. I mean, for me, I know that I don't want kids, for example. So anesthesia is not a bad idea. So it fits into the life that I want. You really don't have to specialize. If you want to specialize to exponentiate your earning potential, then rather find what you're actually passionate about, and it doesn't have to be in medicine, and then use that as your moneymaker.
You touched on two different groups of people, and I think in medicine there are these two. There's the ones who want to specialize and they have a certain idea, even if they're picking between 2 or 3 different specialities. Then there's the people who feel like they have to because that's been the narrative that's sold to us ever since we started med school. So now the people who are on the fence about it, you gave the very therapeutic advice. You need to do some introspection. You need to do some introspection. So we put them to one side. Now, the ones who are picking between 2 or 3 different specialities, how can you go about getting experience? Like, do you think that they should dabble in all 3 within a few years? Do you think they should just apply? Like, what would you do if you were dabbling between like 3 different specialities? I mean, you mentioned surgery and anesthesia, and both the opportunities are there. Would you spend some time in each of them in a few years? Would you, like, how would you analyze the decision, the toss up?
How would I choose? Okay. Knowing, so I think at different stages of my life, I would have probably given you different answers. So if you'd asked me before becoming a medical officer or a registrar, I would have probably said dedicate time in each. So like maybe during ComServe, do 6 months of the one and then 6 months of the other. But now I'm going to say, look at the quality of life that each of those specialties have, and then decide which one is more appealing to you.
Make a
Because
lifestyle decision.
cannot stress that enough.
It's often forgotten. I think everyone always says you need to pick the one that has the most financial stability because everything in life revolves around money. But if you actually look at the world today, you can make money doing almost anything. So
Thank you.
money isn't the thing we should be focusing on, but like, are you going to enjoy that method that the money comes in?
Yes. And if
Mm.
you enjoy the method, you actually increase your creativity in that method and you make more money. What must be will be. And as long as you are an active participant in your life, then, and by that I mean live your life and not the life that you think people are expecting you to live or your friends are expecting you to live or your colleagues are expecting you to live your life for you, then genuinely making decisions should not be that hard. Because the decision making becomes difficult when people start involving too many opinions in their lives.
That also comes also down to self-trust. You need to develop self-trust in yourself and in your voice.
Yeah. Uh, yes. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I deleted social. I deleted social media for many reasons, but the many opinions, not interested. So to make decisions for you.
Wow, that is a powerful last word to say. Let me
Yeah.
wrap it up. Last but not least, what do you feel like is the quiet thing in medicine that needs to be said out loud?
Yikes. What is the quiet thing that needs to be said out loud? My goodness. Okay. I think
Have I thrown a curveball at you?
yeah, but I think yes, there you okay. I think I think it would have to be we're all just human. Must I qualify that statement? Yes, I will. Um so there's a lot of I feel that there's a lot of entitlement from our community where it is expected of us to be kind all the time, happy all the time, friendly all the time, proficient all the time, and they forget that at the end of the day, the very same person that's treating you and giving you care is just a human being. They just have a set of skills and knowledge that might have not been easily accessible to you. So just because the day that they see you, they're not the best person to be around does not mean that they're a total douche. So I guess I'm more advocating for us that as much as it's expected of us to be compassionate and show compassion towards our patients and our colleagues and stuff, the reverse also applies.
Mm,
Just because I'm netting X amount of money does not make me deserving of ill treatment. You know.
mm. That is even a bigger conversation about the disconnect between healthcare workers and generally the public. We see each other from two different perspectives, and one bad doctor spoils it all for everyone. Like, you'll interact with one bad nurse and it becomes a no, all nurses are like this. Or you interact with one family member and it's like, oh no, all family members are like this. I wish that we would both meet each other at the middle and just
Mm,
accept, like you shared, that we're all human, and
mm,
don't let one bad interaction, or even, because if I'm the doctor for your loved one, like, one bad day does not equate to the level of care that I'm giving to your loved one, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. And you made very, very like good points. And I want to add to that to say that very philosophical, but I want to add to say that, like, you as patient are there for. I mean, it's not the same for. It's not true for every. It's not true for all of them, but you're there for. I mean, in government, a month, 2 months max. But these people are there for years on end. And we carry the scars and the cuts of the ones that came before you, of the patients that came before you. And we carry the self-criticism and criticism of the ones that came before you. And so compassion and consideration, both sides, is very important. And you mentioned a bad nurse or a bad doctor. I don't think everybody's inherently bad. We must leave room for there's a reason why they became like this. And that couldn't have been a pleasant reason. Otherwise, they wouldn't have decided they want to be a doctor. I think it's a very small fraction of humanity that is inherently bad. I think circumstances and environments tend to turn people to be bad. And if we can just extend some kindness, we might actually come to find that even the bad people remember that I'm actually just a person, and they become good again. That's what I think anyway.
You've said a lot of good points, and I hope that our listeners can take at least one thing from this episode and apply it to themselves. So thank you.
No, it's a big pleasure. It's a big pleasure. If I can just say one thing to, the med students, is that don't feed into the current culture. Change it. That's it. Because it's very gray there by the work environment. So we should it's time to take active steps and active measures in changing the culture amongst ourselves.
Definitely. I think everyone can do one thing to change wherever they're at and choose to be a different kind of doctor.
Yeah, 100%.
There was actually a story the other day on TikTok of a medical student who assaulted his consultant.
Wild?
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And everyone in the comment section was saying, yes, no, I understand. I side with the medical students. People were just taking sides. But I think it ties in well with your last nuggets of wisdom that, things are really, really gray. But we shouldn't, just because something or a type of behavior was put on us, we don't need to force it onto the next people, Like, just because consultants are like this to us doesn't mean that we have to be like those consultants one day when we have. Like,
Yes.
no.
It doesn't have to be repeated.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be repeated.
Like, we
No,
can't stop this.
definitely. We can we can stop it. We can. So yeah, it's very sad to hear about the assault. It's also unfortunate. I think assaults, yes, I'm not making little of this one. They have been existing. I think we are just, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate to be living in a time where it can be publicized.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate, but I think it also speaks to the whole thing of, because of social media, it's making the world very, very small. Like, you are exposed to things that you would not usually be exposed to had social media not exist,
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's after redoctoring.
The after party show.
After party. After party. Yeah.
No,
Thank you
man,
very
but thank you so much. Thank you so much for being in this episode. My first registrar.
It's a pleasure.
This
First, not the last. Call it. Yeah. No, thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it.
No, definitely. I know you said that you don't have social media. Do you have LinkedIn? I mean, what if the people want to reach you and they'll just say, listen, Dr. Toni said something that realigned my medulla oblongata?
Um, that's difficult and tricky. I don't know. I mean, is it fair of me to ask you to tell me? Then maybe because I mean, I used to have social media, so I do have an account somewhere existing in
Mm,
the world. So I if I am needed, they can let you know, and then you let me know, and then I'll make a plan.
okay, okay, that's a plan.
Right? Yeah, let's call
That's
it. Let's handle that on a PRN basis.
okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And if by the slight chance that this episode goes viral in a year or two, we can make like a Gmail account, like Ask Dr. Toni, and then everyone can send
Yeah, yeah,
email.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, on the boring anesthesia cases, you'll reply to them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a problem. No, like, look, if I'm happy to serve, and um, I mean, I'm off social media for my own selfish reasons. So if it's something
Mm,
that I need to be, getting back on for to be of assistance to the future generation, then by all means. But it'll probably then just be limited and restricted to Instagram, and then we'll just take it from there.
okay. No, 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 definitely. I'll respect that. I'll respect that. So thank you, my dear listener, for listening. I hope you have taken a nugget or two from this conversation with Dr. Toni. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Share this episode with anyone who's intrigued and interested in anesthesia or just the registrar life or anything like that. There is definitely something here for everyone. Follow, like, do all the nice things, and I'll see you again next week. Remember that this is your permission to be a different kind of doctor. Signed by Dr. Diane. Bye.